Hello! So, I've had a few questions about how you would track multiple dots or multiple HoTs cast on many different mobs with weak auras. Usually I would recommend something like Forte Exorcist because it's purpose-built for that kind of thing, but you can do it with weak auras. I've noticed the feature is a little confusing and not entirely intuitive. It's also pretty easy to screw it up, but maybe if we take some baby steps and walk through it, we can get a pretty good understanding of how it all works. So I'm going to begin with weak auras. So let's bring it up. And I'm going to create just a typical sort of progress bar tracker that just about everyone would have made by now. So I'm going to call this, say, renew bar. And let's imagine I was just making one that tracked it on my target. So I'm going to come in and I'll set a load condition to, say, player class. I'll set it to priest and talent spec. And I'll click twice so I can set it to discipline and holy. And I think that's really all I need. Next, I'll come over to trigger, and I'm going to set it to aura, and then I have to type in the name of the buff I want to track. So that's renew, and I need to set the type, which is buff, and then I would select a unit. So let's make one that tracks renew on my target, and the last thing I want to do is set it to own only, so it only tracks my renews and not every renew. So that's set up, and if I pull this out of the way and maybe put this on the side over here, I'll get an aura that probably everyone has made in the past. Right, it's just a bar, it has the name of the spell and how long is remaining and the icon. And if I target something else that doesn't have renew, it goes away. And if I target, I guess I cast it on me, I can see it here and there. And it works well enough as long as I'm targeting what I want to see the spell on. So what if I wanted to track it on every mob that I cast it on? If I bring up weak auras and I pick my aura, I can come down to the unit here and I can choose multi-target. And the first time you do this, you're going to get this warning here about auto-cloning. Now you can read it, and it basically says when you do auto-cloning, it creates multiple copies of the aura, but they'll be displayed one on top of the other. And when that happens, you can't read anything because it's like having 5 auras in exactly the same spot. So if you choose yes, it'll automatically create a dynamic group to put the aura into. So I'm going to hit yes here. Now you can see that it's made me a group, and inside of it I have my renew bar. So I can just give this group a name, something like renew, and I'm done. So when auto-cloning is enabled, it gives you 3 bars to sort of preview what the dynamic group looks like. So I'll throw this over here. And it works exactly the same as any other dynamic group. So if I come under display and maybe I can scroll down to the bottom to set the sizes, I can make my bars a little bigger and a little bit taller. What else? I can also do things like set the sorting options or the times. So I can say maybe let's put the time remaining on the left and the name on the right. And maybe I also want to do something like tooltip on mouse over so you can hover over it. And what else might be useful? Not much. Let's come over to the group settings. And again, they work just like a dynamic group, so you can control the spacing between bars. And you can set the sorting options. So I'll maybe do something like, let's do descending. And let's make this grow the other direction. So I'll come to growth direction and I'll choose up. And that's good enough. Let's close this up and see what happens. So if I cast renew on me, nothing. And why is that? If I come over to my bar and I look under trigger, when I switched it to multi-target, weak auras clears out the aura name. I don't know why, it just does. So if you are converting auras you've already made, this will be a little bit confusing. So I'm going to fix that and set it to renew. And I hit OK. And now everything should work as advertised. So if I click on me and I cast a renew, I get a bar. But it'll also clone automatically. So if I cast on this NPC and also on this one, you can see it just keeps cloning up the bars. And when it gets used up, it clears them out. So if I cast this fast enough, I should be able to get at least 4 up. And on me. And it'll keep cloning for every person you cast. So obviously you wouldn't want to use this to track something like the renew that gets cast by holy priests on direct heals, because you'll just have it on everyone in your raid and you'll have like 30 bars. And there's no real way to control how many it created. But for things like multi-dotting, unless it's something like Ignite on a Fire Mage, it should work pretty well. Let's test this out with a debuff. So we'll do the exact same thing. I'll come in and I'll make a new aura, and I guess I'll make a progress bar, and I'll call this SWP bar. And I suppose we should set some load conditions. So I'll set load, and I need a player class as a priest, and it's open to every talent, so I won't set that. But I will set the level, because I don't think it's available below level 20. If that's wrong, well, who cares, because it's a demo. So we'll set the level, and I'll also set it to only show in combat. So now I've got an aura, and it works the way you would do any other debuff tracking. So I would have my aura type as aura, and I would set the aura name to Shadow Word Pain. I choose OK. Oh, I didn't type it right, so Shadow Word Pain, choose OK. And then I need to choose the unit. And so I'm going to go straight to multi-target. And see how it's given me this option again? I'm going to actually choose no, and we'll see it screw up, so that way we can notice why having dynamic groups is important. So when I switched to multi-target, it cleared out the aura name, Shadow Word Pain. And I'm going to set the aura type to debuff, and I'm going to use own only again. So that's going to work just fine. If I run up to some target dummies and I cast a Shadow Word Pain, which I have to spellbook because I don't have it bound. So we'll cast a Shadow Word Pain and we get an icon there. But if I cast it on another mob, you can see that my timer text here is all messed up. And if I have a different mob like Training Dummy, you can see that it's overlapping and just looking wrong. So that's what our dynamic group fixes. So I'm going to do that manually. Just come in and choose to create a dynamic group, and I'll call this SWP, and then I'll move my Shadow Word Pain aura into there. You can see it's giving us a demo of, see, this doesn't go into there, it goes into the SWP one. There we go. So I can resize these, and where's my bar, or my group? I can grab the group and throw it over here, and do all the standard sorts of config that you would expect to be able to do. So come to display, and there we go. So I've got my Shadow Word Pain set up over here. If I close this, I should be able to see multiple dots being tracked as I cast. So I'll throw this here, and then here, and here, and over there. So there we go, we can track all those, and then if I come and I cast some renews, maybe on me, and on another NPC, or another player, over here, and I get back in combat, and see my Shadow Word Pains are tracking as well. Now we can mix and match these two, but it gets a little confusing. I'm going to come to my Shadow Word Pain, and just change the bar color to something like green, because that's intuitive, right? Having your DPS abilities as green. So I'll drag it out of the group, and I guess because I'm in config, that's fine. And I put it into the renew group, and I guess I don't need this group, so I'm going to delete it and its children. So now I have my dynamic group here, and you can see it's pretty ugly. You can sort of sort it out a little bit, like a line to the right, and maybe I'll drag this over here, and I'll set the, actually I'll leave it different, just so we can watch it go. So I cast a Shadow Word Pain on this, and a renew on me, and a Shadow Word Pain on that, and a renew. You can see things are sort of working as advertised. It's still sorting by time left. Yeah, pretty much exactly what you would expect. So there you go, how to track multiple dots and HoTs with weak auras.